Alright, hi everyone. So we're going to do the third video in this series on how to do sound design in a virtual synthesizer. Working in Vital, but a lot of this is going to be applicable to other soft synths as well, and even probably hardware synths too. Maybe not all of it, but quite a bit of it. Alright, so right now my setup is I've basically got a sawtooth wave coming from my oscillator, which is going to filter 1. Something that we didn't actually look at before, but Vital lets you just route this oscillator to either of the filters or both, or it lets you bypass them with those settings there. Alright, I have my filter setting kind of in the middle. Alright, so sort of a slightly bright sound, but not really. Alright, and what we're going to look at now is the envelope. Now, by default, this envelope 1 here in Vital always controls the volume of the sound, or the amplitude, and you can't change that. So what you could do is just leave that envelope how it is and use the other envelopes to control the individual oscillators. But rather than making it complicated like that, we're just going to do it with the first envelope. So right now, as soon as I press a key, my sound is at the maximum volume that it's ever going to reach. Okay, but if I start to drag this dot here across, I'm going to get a slope here, and that slope there is my attack. You can see that changing as I change that slope, and that's how long it's going to take the sound to reach its maximum volume. So now it's going to take a little while to ramp up. It's a little bit shorter. Alright, so the second dot here is my sustain level. So that is the volume level that the sound is going to come down to after reaching that maximum point at the end of the attack. And then how long it takes to get from the end of the attack phase to the sustain level is my decay time. And then the final phase here, the release, is how long it's going to take that sound to stop after I let go of the key. Alright, and you'll notice that I can change the curve on all of those as well, just by dragging that middle dot there. Okay, so this envelope here with a bit of a kind of a slow attack, long-ish decay and release phases. It's kind of already sort of a pad sound. So if I wanted to make it even mellower, I could bring that filter cutoff down a bit. Alright, so this sort of quite long envelopes are good for those like slow pads playing chords. If I wanted to create like a pluck sound, what I'm going to want is no attack, 0 sustain, and we'll give it a short release for now. So just a short decay. Okay, and now I've got like a pluck. I can make kind of a long release. Yeah, so now I can just sort of play the keys staccato. And I'll get that pluck, but with those notes still ringing afterwards. If I bring out the decay a little bit, I almost get like a keys, sort of a E piano. A bit of Beethoven there. So that's the kind of envelope for that type of setup. And most of your other basic envelope shapes for amplitude are going to fit somewhere between those two. But my sort of default is to have, for the type of music I make, I suppose, It's maybe a slightly shorter version of the one I showed you initially. So a little bit of a ramp up with that decay and slightly extended release phase, so when you let go of the chord or the note, you still have a bit of a ring. If you make the release too short, it sounds very unnatural. But there are some cases where you might want that. One thing I probably should have mentioned is that, so your attack, decay, sustain, release are your standard settings that you're going to have on most envelopes in most synthesizers. Vital does have these two additional settings here, which is delay, so that actually delays the beginning of the envelope. So see, from the time I press the key, although you can actually see me hitting it, but there's a little bit of a delay time. And then the hold setting is a period that holds at the top of the attack volume, phase volume before the decay starts. Okay, generally I don't really use those a whole lot. I prefer just your standard 3-stage envelope. 1, 2, 3. 3 or 4, depending on how you look at it. Alright, so as I said, by default, the envelope is going to modulate volume. So that's just going to be the shape of your amplitude over time. But it can change other things as well. So let's go back to our pluck. Something like this. So if I wanted to make that even pluckier, I can drag this, and this is how modulation works in Vital. So I just click here and drag it to whatever I want the envelope to change. And I'm going to put it on my filter cutoff. And now when I'll get this little circle here, and the green line underneath shows how much the envelope is going to move for that setting. So now you'll see when I press the key, the filter is going to move with the envelope. You'll see that the envelope is moving the filter quite a lot, creating that much brighter sound. So I may not want it that much, so I can just click on this circle, drag that down. And I can also adjust that here if I wanted to as well. Okay, let's look at changing one more setting now. So I could do it on the pan, but we might do it on tuning. So let's just do it on fine tune. It's probably more than we want. So that's now just raising that fine tune up by a fraction of a semitone, which does actually give it quite almost a natural sound. Because then when we're talking about a plucked string, when you pluck a string on a guitar or something, it is a little bit sharper when you pluck it and then flattens slightly during the resonance. Alright, so we'll leave it there. So that is how you use the envelope. Obviously you have multiple envelopes. I think you can have up to 5, and you could use these to modulate different things as well. And you can have different envelope shapes modulating different things. So let's do this for example. Let's bring some sustain in here. Right. But we'll look at presets that use more multiple modulations in a later video. All right, in the next video, we're going to be looking at how to use the detune setting in the oscillator to create some sort of synth string sounds. I will see you in that one.